Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Hey, folks, we are back. It's Inside Real Estate. Mike Kruizinga, InsideRealEstateRadio.com. InsideRealEstateRadio.com is the website. And, of course, we always do a lot of sports talk as well, which is rather odd, some folks have said. But a lot of folks have said, hey, I love that when you talk sports instead of just real estate all the time. And so we appreciate that. And we're going to get into our high school sports segment. And we've got a state champion head coach Chris Dyer of DeSoto boys basketball on the line. Let's see if he's on the line with us. Coach, you with us?
I'm still here.
Hey, Coach, we appreciate you calling in, especially on a Easter Sunday morning. Thank you so much for calling in. 4-time state champion, by the way, 3 times at DeSoto, once at Oak Cliff, and really appreciate you being on the line with us.
No problem.
Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about a few different things, maybe talk a little bit about kind of what you've been doing over the course of your history and coaching, and, of course, what you've been doing at DeSoto. We'll maybe talk a little bit about the championship, and then talk a little bit about Marques as well. And then, of course, sort of the interesting little bit of drama that there was, going up against a coach that you worked with in the championship as well. And let's kind of start off a little bit about, how you've been building such a strong program down there at DeSoto.
Well, I've been blessed. I've had some really good people around me, players, coaches. This year I was able to have 3 of my ex-players as coaches, so that helped quite a bit. Coach Golden's been with me for 18 years. Coach Pinchback's been with me like 7 or 8. So I really have a great support system. Our assistant principals, our other coaches in other sports, they've really taken up the slack a lot of times when I'm not able to do my duty or take care of certain things in practice even.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you always have to have a strong team around you, and the greatest coaches and greatest managers always know that secret to life, and that's surround yourself by strong individuals and ones that can be a part of the fight.
Yeah, you're only as good as the people around you, and I'm very blessed.
Absolutely. Well, you had one heck of a season, only 2 losses, and you even broke 100 a couple times this year. And by and large, looking at all the scores, you pretty much handled most everybody pretty well. The Grand Prairie game was a loss, and then a tough win on the next go-round. But by and large, handled everybody pretty well this year.
Well, I like to think that we're probably in the toughest district in the state with South and Grand and Cedar Hill, Duncanville, Mansfield, Midlothian. And, you have some great coaches, and the kids all know each other. And there's nothing too much hidden. But, when you have the 2 teams in the same district in the regional final, that tells you how tough your district is.
Yeah, absolutely. It sure does. No doubt about it. What did you learn in those? You kind of ran through a lot of people. I mean, you're beating people by 50, 60 points. And once you kind of got that first loss, was it a wake-up call at all?
Oh, yes. Yes. It was a wake-up call more for the kids and for myself. They just realized that, you just can't show up. You got to have preparation, and mentally you got to be ready to go. And, if you don't give it your best, then, in this day and age, especially with all the kids that are out there and all the good coaches, it's tough.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a close game. I mean, it was only a 4-point loss to Mesquite, and then it started to look like things started to tighten up a little bit, and then you guys kind of broke away again, and then there was a close loss with South Grand Prairie, just a 5-point loss as well, but definitely the wake up call. But by and large, he really handled everybody pretty strongly.
Well, it didn't seem like it at the time, to be honest with you. And, a lot of times when you're coaching, you don't really look at the score. You just kind of look at your personnel. You try to get your kids in. You just try to be efficient in what you do. And, a lot of times I didn't even realize what the score was, to be honest with you.
Right. It's just the win at the end of the night or the loss. and then prepping for the next game. Isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
Well, let's talk a little bit about, and I know sometimes coaches hate to talk about just, one player sometimes, and, because look, basketball, just like football, like any sport, is a team effort, and it's about every player on the floor, and every player sitting on the bench supporting those that are on the floor. And but I would like to talk a little bit about Marques Bolden, your big-time senior center, and happened to be Sports Day Player of the Year, and heck of a ball player. And one of the things that kind of really struck me about his stats for this past year was he was really strong from the line, 80%. And tell me a little bit about this guy.
Well, Marques is a great kid. First of all, he's very humble, very appreciative. He's come such a long way. He's been in DeSoto all his life. Some of his grade school teachers I know real well. He played for Coach Pinchback in 6th grade at McCowan Middle School. He's definitely a self-made player. I mean, he has worked very, very hard. He's the type of kid that, he's just great to be around because he'll come up to you every day. Coach, how am I doing? Are we going hard? Are we getting something out of this? And all you have to do is say, no, you guys aren't going hard, and he'll start running harder or playing harder. Or, he's just a good kid. He really is. He's very low key about himself, and he doesn't want to disappoint anyone. He's just a good kid. He really is.
Well, yeah, that's kind of rare in this day and age because, a lot of times, if you have a good ball player, it kind of goes to their head a little bit. And to have a ball player that it doesn't go to their head and they actually have an awareness about themselves and an awareness about how they can help the teammates and an awareness to be able to have discussions with the coach, that's kind of a rare thing, is it?
It is. When he was a sophomore, he didn't hardly say 2 words. And by the time he was a senior, we couldn't get him out of the coach's office. He wanted to sit down and just talk to everybody. And finally, he'd say, Marques, just go get dressed. We got to practice. Go get dressed.
Right. Well, that's a great thing, and hopefully he keeps it that way and has that great awareness and doesn't let it go to his head. We love to see these ball players that do well, and but that keep just themselves in it and not kind of become the hype around it.
Well, the thing about Marques is he's a great teammate. I mean, all those kids, all the kids we have, all the seniors and underclassmen, they grew up together. And, that's one thing about him making his announcement. He just did not want anything to interfere with his teammates. All he wanted to do was be a high school student and play with his best friends. That's it.
Yeah. Well, and a guy that understands that and understands the mission that you guys were on, and the fact that he knew that, he could have maybe overshadowed that a bit by making an announcement, and the fact that he did that, that just speaks to the type of man that he is, and what a great ball player is, what a great teammate he is. By the way, we're talking about Marques Bolden, the center for DeSoto, averaged over 23 points, over 10 rebounds, over 2 blocks, nearly 3 blocks a game this season, and shot about 80% from the line. And, of course, for a center, you've got to do well at the line because, hack a shack, you're gonna go to the line a lot. And so that 80% at the line, that's actually probably one of the more impressive stats because you really need that. Well,
last year we kind of rode him kind of hard about his free throws, his inconsistency, and he worked on it last spring and this summer quite a bit. We kind of broke down some things that he was doing and tried to show him the way that Dirk Nowitzki, because they're about the same size, how he shoots it and the way he's able to flex his lower body and use that as a follow-through mechanism. And, he really worked hard at it. And every day in practice, we would shoot 100 free throws, and he'd always be in the 80 to 90% range. So that was pretty good.
Yeah, you got to work on those mechanics, and of course, once you kind of get that down, then as long as you maintain that along the way, then you're good to go. I saw a lot of his tape, and great ball player, and you can kind of see by the way he carries himself that the way you're describing him is just great, and hope he keeps that with him as he moves on to college, and best wishes for him, of course. Well, let's talk a little bit about the championship game, and of course, congratulations on the win, the state win. I do believe this is your third win with DeSoto and your fourth, because you had one down at Oak Cliff. And so big congratulations on that. And but this one may be a little bit bittersweet because you had to go up against your old assistant coach.
Well, I'm at his house right now. His two kids are our godchildren, and we come down for Easter every year. So I'm down in Humboldt, Tascasita right now. So that tells you a little bit.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So good friends as well, and so going up against each other probably had to be pretty hard. But who else would you want to see? I mean, of course, you want to see your good friend in the big game as well, and so kind of a great thing that hey, we're both here. But bad thing. One of us has got to win. One of us has got to lose.
Well, he was better about it than I was, because once that ball goes up, I don't care if he and I are playing one-on-one or coaching. I mean, we're very much alike. When that ball goes up, we're going to do what's best for our kids, and we're going to compete, and we want our kids to compete. And but when it was over, it was very bittersweet. We talk every day. He's one of my best friends. His two kids are our godchildren. I can't tell you how much closer we can be than that, but
right.
He really kept me going this year. We had some things that occurred to us this year that I didn't know if I'd be able to keep coaching, and he would call me and kind of pep me up and keep me going, to be honest with you.
Wow. Yeah, just a great relationship, and that was the first time he made it to the big game as well. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Well, it's got to be a great feeling, I would think, for him, and maybe we'll be able to talk to him down the line that, when he does make it, to the big game, that he's going up against, head coach he's worked with, and of course such a great friend and a family friend like you as well. Now, is there since you guys know each other's coaching styles so well, were you able to better prepare your teams for each other?
Well, you only have one day, but, we kept talking, down the road. Hey, wouldn't that be something if we met down there? And, the day that we found out who we were playing from the UIL that Sunday, he called me at my house, and his wife and his daughter were still up in Dallas, and they were at my house. So his daughter answered the phone when he called.
That's hilarious.
The bad thing is, I showed him a few years ago one of the stuff that we run. He runs it better than us. I told him the other day, I said, we put in secondary, and you guys run it better than we do.
You stole it.
Well, we trade so much, and the one thing about coaching is no one ever invents something new. It's
right.
It's you reclaim it and
recycle.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
just recycle it. Yeah, you didn't have one of those sneak plays, one of those throw-in plays, and he knew about it, or you knew about his, or anything like that.
Well, we kind of, there's so much film out there these days. You can watch everybody so much, and
right.
I'd send him film on us from people that he was having to play, and he'd send us film on people that we were going to have to play, because there's a lot of people that you have to, even though they're in Houston or we're in the Dallas area, there's a lot of people that you end up playing the same. So
yeah, absolutely. And by the way, folks, we're talking with head coach of DeSoto boys basketball, Chris Dyer, and talking about his good friend and former assistant coach, David Martinez, who is head coach of who they played in the state championship final, Humble, Ascosita, and great story with the two of you, and great championship, and actually a great run, by both teams, throughout the season. And we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on you guys next season as well. And I'm sure there's going to be, great things coming from you as well. I think you've racked up over 650 wins now. I think is that about right?
I think so. You're just as good as your next one, so that's all we look forward to.
Right. It's just, what did you do for me lately, right?
Exactly.
Well, talk about somebody who is humble as pie. Look, we're talking about a 4-time state champion right here. Been in the business of coaching darn near, 3 decades almost. Over some 650 odd wins, folks. That's a heck of a career. Just 2 losses this year. State champions of DeSoto. Head coach Chris Dyer. Hey, thank you so much for calling in this morning, being on the high school sports segment. We really appreciate it. And say hello to your friend David over there for us as well. And a great congratulations to him on a great season with his team as well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate everything you guys do for high school sports in the Metroplex.
Hey, thank you, Coach. And, hey, thank you so much for calling in on Easter. And have a great Easter Sunday. Best to you and your family. Thank you so much.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Folks, that was a high school sports segment. We were talking with Coach Chris Dyer of DeSoto, and we really appreciate him calling in on an Easter Sunday. And, hey, folks, we're going to have more high school sports next week as well. Folks, guess what? It's Inside Real Estate News, Sports, and Entertainment. Hey, we'll see you next week. We're out of here.